Bonjour, welcome et bienvenue à notre deuxième journée.
Welcome to our second day.
Human side of cybersecurity. Pour ceux qui n'étaient pas avec nous hier, je vous rappelle que mon nom est Christine Beauchamp. Je suis la directrice responsable.
Hey, my name is Christine Beauchamp and I am Director Client Engagement and Incident Detection. I'm delighted to be your MC today. Thank you for joining us today, and I'm delighted to have you that interested in cybersecurity.
You to go check out the virtual lobby at the end of this session. Before we begin, I will reiterate yesterday's housekeeping items. So, number one, for your viewing experience, if you can, we actually suggest that you turn off your VPN and that you log back onto the event. Donc, pour votre plaisir visuel, nous vous suggérons, s'il est possible, de vous déconnecter.
For your visual enjoyment, please disconnect from a VPN and do reconnect. You will have simultaneous interpretation in both official languages.
If you want access to this service, all of the details are in the reminder email that you will have received. Throughout the event, you may submit questions at any time by clicking on the hand-raised icon. Vous pouvez soumettre vos questions n'importe quand pendant l'événement.
You can ask your questions at any time during the event. Just press on the little icon with the raised hands. Hier, nous avons eu une bonne discussion sur la façon de communiquer.
Of the human side of cybersecurity, I am exceptionally pleased to present to you two incredible speakers who are not only women in cybersecurity, but they are active champion of women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The first person I'd like to introduce you today is Sarah Paquette for the opening remarks. She is the Executive Vice President of Shared Services Canada. Ms. Paquette has held a variety of positions throughout the Government of Canada, including at Justice, Health Canada, the Food Inspection Agency, and Public Services and Procurement Canada. Elle a été sous-ministre adjointe et sous-ministre adjointe principale à Services publics et approvisionnement.
And she's been
responsable de la mise en œuvre des principales solutions opérationnelles axées de la
Deputy Minister and Assistant Deputy Minister, and she was in charge of the various operational solutions for the Canadian government.
Enterprise IT infrastructure
Et elle est en ce
to Canadians. Next month, she is going to become the next director of FinTrack, the Financial Transactions and Report Analysis Center of Canada. As well, she is the Deputy Minister Champion for the University of Ottawa, strengthening their relationship with the Government of Canada, focusing on student health and recruitment. She is a strong advocate of women in STEM, and we are incredibly lucky to have her with us today. Sarah, your turn.
Merci beaucoup, Christine. C'est très gentil ton introduction. Bonjour tout le monde. Ça me fait vraiment plaisir d'être avec vous aujourd'hui. Je veux vous remercier d'avoir investi 2 journées pendant le...
Thank you indeed, Christine. I'm delighted to be with you. And I want to thank you for investing 2 days during this month of cybersecurity in order to learn more.
Ongoing threats, and as we know, this is one of the most important ones facing our country right now and for the years to come. So Shared Services Canada was created almost 10 years ago. It was not very popular at the beginning for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons was that we didn't even have the blueprint of what Shared Services Canada was. So you can imagine what it meant for security when you create an organization and you think you transfer 300 data centers to it, but in reality, you don't know how many. And a few years later, SSC realized that it was more than 700 data centers that they have inherited that day. So imagine what kind of security you have around it. At the same time, it was more than 50 networks. It was more than 1,000 firewalls. It was 3,500 buildings. So security-wise, I would say it was the Wild West. So the good thing about the creation of Shared Services Canada is that it was bringing it all together. It was bringing an inventory of what needed to be done. And with the work that we did with CSC and OCIO, we did much better. Alors, beaucoup d'argent a été investi par le gouvernement du Canada pour augmenter les capacités, les fonctionnalités, la surveillance du périmètre.
A lot of money was invested by the Canadian government in order to increase surveillance and functions.
IT is not going to make it. We need to protect ourselves. We need to protect our coworkers. We need to be vigilant because cybersecurity is not just about IT, but it's also about us, our biggest threat. So what does it mean when we work closely together? It means that we are looking into the lens of securing the parameters, securing our data from outside threats, but we're doing it all together. So at Shared Services Canada, one of the things we've been working really hard at recently was really to enable the cloud. So we wouldn't be able to enable the cloud by ourselves. We need to work with all of the departments, but we also needed to work closely with CSC and the newly created Cybersecurity Center to ensure that we were going to connect you to the cloud in a secure fashion. So a lot of work and very good teamwork and collaboration has happened in the last couple of months to really ensure that those connections to the clouds were happening and leveraging our capacity to go into the cloud and really take the benefit of the cloud, but do it in a secure manner. So a big thank you to my colleague to help us with that. But I think it was even more important when COVID hit. Because when COVID hit, everybody started working from home. So for SSC, it meant that we went from 40,000 simultaneous connection a day to 290. Alors, pour connecter autant de gens aussi rapidement, encore une fois, on a travaillé de façon très, très étroite avec nos collègues pour s'assurer.
If we want to connect that many people at the same time, we've been working closely together with our colleagues just to make sure that our employees could be working in security and safety.
Doing schooling. I have my husband working from home as well. So, you know, we have less paper going around, but definitely more connections. So we need to be even more vigilant about our own behaviors and how we can actually risk not just ourselves and our personal information, but the work we are doing with everybody else. So what does it mean for the future? For the future, it means that we always knew we needed more people in STEM. We always knew we needed more diversity. And that's why I picked that background today. I could have picked a cyber background, but I thought other presenters were going to do that. Just wanted to remind ourselves that diversity is going to help us be innovative and creative. And we need people with talent from all different backgrounds to be able to respond to those threats that are just evolving every day. Alors, un grand merci pour tous vos efforts contre la cybersécurité. Un grand merci de participer à la conférence hier et aujourd'hui pour justement connaître.
So thank you, everybody, for all your efforts for cybersecurity. Thank you for attending the meeting and conference and lectures, which will enable us to better protect ourselves, protect also your co-workers, and also we want to continue being vigilant, and we cannot do it by ourselves.
We need to work with the academia. We need to work with the nonprofit because that threat, it's by working all together that we're going to be able to continue to respond to it. And it's a priority for us at SSC. It's a priority at the Gouvernement Canada, and I know it's a priority for all of you. Alors sur ce, je vous souhaite une bonne fin de conférence et ça me fera plaisir de continuer à travailler avec vous dans les nouvelles fonctions. Merci.
So without further ado, wish you a good conclusion for your conference and be delighted to work with you in my new functions.
Of SSC, a little bit of its history, and for reminding us that, you know, it is a complex environment, that, you know, all of these new technologies that come in, you know, the bringing in of the cloud, for example, that you've brought up, do bring a lot more complexity to what it is that we do, and that we have to work together to make it happen, because these are big, big projects, and that are, unfortunately, they are crucial and they must be successful. I'd like also to thank you for your remarks on diversity, on the fact that, to do it together, we need a diversity of backgrounds, we need a diversity of people, and we need to work together to enrich the cybersecurity landscape by bringing in all this various talent and all of these different people. So on that, I'd like to thank you once again. Merci beaucoup, c'était très intéressant.
Merci. Bonne fin de journée.
Bonne journée. I would now like to move on to our new other speaker.
Thank you. It was most interesting. Thank you, and enjoy your day.
Chairwoman of Willis College and the founder and president of TechnoWave. Rima Aristocrat is the current chair of the 154-year-old Willis College, offering industry-led, job-ready skills training and education, enabling adults to transition into careers in business, healthcare, technology, and cybersecurity. Elle est la fondatrice de l'Association canadienne des professionnels des immigrants, fondatrice et présidente de TechnoWave, la première initiative nationale.
She is the founder of the Canadian Association of Professionals and the first people who are the first leader in IT training for Indigenous.
A soldier's hero.
And she's founder also of the Cybersecurity Academy, and she's founder of Women in Technology, and also scholarship for military forces.
Many recognizing her status as a woman leader in cybersecurity. Rima, we're all ears.
Thank you, Christine, and good morning, everyone. Happy Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and thank you, Christine, for this wonderful introduction. By the way, I have to say that your opening remarks yesterday and today was breathtaking, and your virtual lab looks so beautiful that any other countries will be envious of it. I would also like to thank the Canada School of Public Services Digital Academy for inviting me today to share with you some of my experiences and best practices. Chairwoman is a new role for me. Before becoming a chairwoman, I was the president and CEO of Willis College for over 30 years. To give you some of the information on how I ended up in cybersecurity, I think it is important to share some of my experiences and introduce you to Willis College. Christine already introduced some of my roles in different organizations I played, therefore I'm not going to repeat it again, but I'm most proud of our latest involvement in federal roundtable discussions, consultations, global forums to better understand why women are not engaging cyber defense. In partnership with the Invest Ottawa at University of Ottawa, we are hosting annual global forum consultations, and in fact, our next global forum takes place March 10th. Now, even though I have done all that, I must admit that I am not technical at all. For that, I rely on Willis College's subject matter experts who are willing and ready to provide you with any technical information you might need. In 2018, the European Cybersecurity Observatory contacted me to interview for their Cybersecurity Leader of the Week publication. I told them that they must have a wrong person. I am the founder of TechnoWave, but in technology, I was a techno virgin. But they were not looking for a technical person. They wanted to know more about critical role and education and skills training in cybersecurity. Well, I guess my responses got me inducted into Cybersecurity Hall of Fame, Canada, US, and France, and for that I was very grateful. It's through serving on cybersecurity organizations, boards like INSICAM, presenting to the local, national, and international events like this, that I have met and learned so much about the human side of cybersecurity. I hope to share this knowledge with you today. 2 years ago, I was on a panel at the Cyber NB in the Brunswick global event talking about the crucial role of education and skills training in cybersecurity. There, I watched the presenter from Israel company demonstrating their best practices model in establishing their talent pipeline. I saw audience making a note on every slide, and I thought of myself, wait a minute here. Is it what we do already at Willis and how we established our multi-vendor cybersecurity academy? That evening, I met a presenter and gave him an overview of the Willis Cybersecurity Academy model. The presenter was surprised to learn about it and wondered why I was not sharing and using this as our best practice model. You see, we have some amazing subject matter experts, women in cybersecurity, educators, and some awesome best practices in Canada. We have organizations like Cybersecurity Center and CSCs that folks doing an amazing job there. No need to reinvent the wheel. We simply need to share and adopt our own best practices. And events like this permit us to do just that, to learn, to network, to connect. Now allow me to introduce you to Willis College. Christine already gave some information about the Willis's age, but what I really wanted to discuss a little bit about it is agility. Yes, Willis College offers industry-led, job-ready skills training and diploma programs under 1 year in technology, business, and healthcare. Our curricula is agile. We are able to adopt and suit emerging needs. Willis has established dynamic relationship with industry leaders such as Sophos from UK, Fortinet from California, Checkpoint from Israel, Microsoft, Calian, KPMG, and with the government organizations such as the DND and the Canadian Armed Forces. Willis College's flagship program, Cybersecurity Analyst Program, is recognized by the Canadian Armed Forces and the Department of National Defense. And recently, Willis was chosen to be an exclusive trainer for the Canadian military. Willis will be teaching the CSA program to new cavalry recruits who will become cyber operators, helping to protect our country from cyber threats. The Willis College CSA program is a cooperative education and program where end of the program students go on a job placements for several months. Willis was recently approved by Public Service for a student placement. Currently, we are working with the DND, SSC, ESDC, the Privacy Commission of Canada, the Canada Border Services Agency, Office of the Auditor General of Canada, and the House of Commons for student placement. And we are really looking forward to collaborate with each and every department for future placement. So if any of you out there, any department has any need for a cyber talent, please don't hesitate to contact us. Our students are working in various roles such as IT specialists, system administrators, server managers, network security, technical support, vulnerability assessment, ethical hacking, penetration testing, digital forensic, and a cybersecurity analyst. Willis College is located Ottawa for 154 years. We have Armbrier campus. Our new campus is Winnipeg, and a recently established Willis online campus will enable our Canadians nationwide to access that education. Now, a little bit about the event that we are involved in, human side of cybersecurity. What is the human side of cybersecurity? People are at the heart of cybersecurity, from technology creation to testing to use and abuse. A lot of this field is fundamentally about how people interact with technology. Fields like sociology, psychology, behavior economics, and marketing can teach us so much about people, how we think, why we behave as we do, what can motivate us, and what can undermine us. This knowledge is crucial in cybersecurity because we need to engage and empower people. One of the most common mistakes the organization makes is using the fear to drive change. Cybersecurity professionals sometimes fall into the trap, thinking that they can scare people into security. Of course, we need to talk about the threats, but we need to do this in a responsible and constructive way, or we will actually find that our message backfires. A strong fear-based message can actually lead to people engaging in less secure behaviors. Commitment of your people to protecting your organization is an essential component of the strong cyber defense. This means that critical part of your cyber strategy must be focused on the human aspects of organization, on developing a positive security culture that is grounded in employees' attitudes, evident in the behaviors people exhibit, especially when no one is looking, and which is reinforced by the actions of leaders. We need to understand how we people are affected by cybersecurity, how we are in a part of the problem, and how can we become actually solutions instead of problems. Poor personal practices will eventually get past all the impressive cyber technology, so we need to learn to reduce the risk by improving our behaviors. Now let me touch a little bit following topics. What is the cybersecurity? I would like to share some opinions and information from the subject matter experts. Human nature. Some insights into why we sometimes do what we should not be doing and sometimes don't do what we should be doing. Cybersecurity best practices. It would be my pleasure to share with you Willis College Multi-Vendor Cybersecurity Academy model and continuous learning and collaboration. Some resources that you can use to continue your path of learning regarding cybersecurity best practices. Regarding my topics about what cybersecurity is, I would like to give you a definition that was given to me by a very learned friend of mine. 2 years ago, Willis College was hosting Cybersecurity Awareness Month and invited Dr. Mansour Hazib from Maryland as a guest speaker. Dr. Mansour is known as a Dr. Cybersecurity. And he gave a definition of the cybersecurity that I found it fascinating, and I repeat and cite him every opportunity I have. And it says, cybersecurity is the mission-focused and risk-optimized governance of information, which maximizes confidentiality, integrity, and availability using a balanced mix of people, policy, and technology, while perennially improving over time. So every time we listen about the cybersecurity, every presenter talks about importance of the people, because technology cannot happen by itself. We, people, create the technology, so you cannot take a people out of the cybersecurity. Other subject matter experts have said that cybersecurity consists of policies, procedures, and technology we use to help protect our data and our digital identities at home and at work. And we have heard amazing speakers yesterday, and you're going to hear some of that today that talk about the importance of them as well. It is more than just protecting our computer data. It's also protecting our well-being, our financial well-being, emotional well-being, personal privacy, and most of all, reputation. Part of the definition that says we use is crucial, because cybersecurity is not a magic. We have to know how to use it properly in order to be effectively protected. Now, let me touch a little bit about the risks, vulnerability, exploits, threats, and attacks. As most things in life, and we are aware of it, we all know, knowledge is the key. In cybersecurity, this knowledge consists of knowing your risk, what valuables can be damaged or lost, and planning how to protect them. Finding your vulnerability. The weakness and flaws in systems can practice and that can be compromised. Practices can be compromised to get at your valuables. Being aware of the exploits. The tricks and methods that nefarious actors can use to get through your vulnerabilities to access your valuables. Identifying the threats. Are they outside actors, hackers on the internet, inside actors, employees, or man-made or natural disasters? Knowing when you are under attack. An exploit is in progress, so you and your cybersecurity system take action to limit the damage, mitigate. With this knowledge, we can put measurements in place to protect valuables. Whether the valuables are organizational data files and the system or personal information, identity and reputation. We cannot protect ourselves if we don't understand what cybersecurity is. Organization CEOs, CFOs, managers who are not technical must understand cybersecurity leadership in order to better understand CISO's position. And that can only come from education. Human nature. To start my topic of human nature, I would like to tell you a story. Willis College was hosted cybersecurity presentation given by key members of cybersecurity operations unit of the Canadian Armed Forces. When they were asked what the biggest risk in the cyber landscape was, without any hesitation, the response was people. So we may sometimes be the weakest link in the cybersecurity, but people can also be the greatest strength. How can we improve our personal and professional cybersecurity? One way is by understanding our behaviors and understanding how to motivate people to change those bad behaviors, and have made the military think that we are the biggest risk. Why do we do the things we should not do, or do we things that we should be doing? We don't do the things that we should be doing. When people are most empowered, when they feel more able, they are more likely to engage with the recommended behaviors. Actively challenging the stereotype removes the burden and feeds people to concentrate on the risk and task at hand in front of them. Clearly, we need to stop saying that users are stupid and that security mistakes are their own. When we do this, we make it harder for people to perform well. Instead of understanding people, let's start spread and more empowering messages, and let's celebrate each other's achievements and what we have learned. Let me touch a little bit about the cybersecurity best practices, which I'm most proud of. Some of the experts that presented yesterday have already demonstrated a lot of the cybersecurity practices to everyone. And this is where I wanted to give a shout out to CSC. They're doing an amazing job out there, and they're doing so much and providing us so much help and information. My hats off to you, everybody working there. Instead, I would like to share with you Willis Multi-Vendor Cybersecurity Academy Model Best Practices. 6 years ago, industry leaders from U.S. came to Willis College with ask. They wanted to expand their business but could not do it without having a talent pipeline to hire more right people. They expressed that universities were not an option for them because it would take 40 years to graduate people, and they were looking for an agile college who could design, train, and provide them with a talent in just 1 year. The organization was Fortinet from California. It was interesting how they flew their VP from California, professional services manager from New York, technical people from Vancouver for a 3-day consultation. Fortinet provided what they already have. Willa shared with them our curricula, and Fortinet provided us skill sets they needed and no one had it. Fortinet provided Willis College with their equipment, ongoing support, and consultation. Willis College curricula developers, in consultation with the industry, developed many additional courses. The courses that they were most interested in was the business communication courses. They wanted to make sure that employees could talk to their high-level enterprise clients. The program had to be approved by the ministry. Instructors were certified, and then we started delivering the training. Fortinet hired almost all of the graduates for their Ottawa location. 1 year later, Sophos from UK cybersecurity organization followed the Fortinet steps. Later on, Checkpoint from Israel. So you see, our multi-vendor cybersecurity academy is outfitted with industry leaders' equipment, knowledge, and support. Sophos also requested to help them to bring them in Ottawa, and we did, and Sophos is now has the Ottawa location. And we are proud to say the majority of the Sophos Ottawa is staffed by Willis graduates. This is how the multi-vendor cybersecurity academy was created. You see, you hear people talking the importance of the collaboration, importance of industry getting together with academia, getting together with government, and getting together with the community. And a lot of places, a lot of organizations already do this. But having all of that under the one roof and under the one stop, it was very rare and very unique. Now, continuous learning and collaboration. My next topic is continuous learning, collaboration, and why it is important. The cybersecurity threat landscape is always changing. Hackers are always finding new weaknesses in our system to exploit, or new tricks to social engineer us. This week, the biggest threat might be phishing emails. Next week might be a security flaw in the middle of the devices. Because things change so quickly, and often we need to be consciously learning about current cybersecurity issues and ways to mitigate. There are a number of online resources available so that you can increase your cybersecurity knowledge, such as the Canadian Center of Cybersecurity, the SENS Institute, the NIST initiative from our American neighbors, and of course, Willis College. If you are interested in approximately 2-hour-long webinar from Willis College covering many aspects of the cybersecurity best practices, please contact rob.wilson@williscollege.com to make an arrangement. He will be more than happy to give you such presentation. We are in a battle of cyber attacks. It is easier to defend your valuables with a team or army on your side than it is to do it alone. So we need to collaborate. There is a strength in the numbers and strength in sharing. Citizens, government, industry, and academia can help each other achieve greatest level of cybersecurity through information sharing and working together. That's why I'm so grateful that you are organizing events like this, so we can learn more, we can connect, and we can network. Individually, one person is like one finger on a hand, but like one finger is one, doesn't have much power. But if you close your fists and fingers together, even they are all different sizes, you will see the strength in it. So coming together as one cooperative unit are also stronger. So coming together with others is very, very important. Maybe one person or organization has a knowledge, another has the ability to execute the plan, and so on. Together we can improve. It is my hope that Canada will be soon included in the top 10 cybersecurity innovation hubs besides US, UK, and Israel. And strength is created and exists within us in Canada. I know we can. In closing, I would like to thank you all for time today. I hope my presentation has given you some ideas on how to improve your cybersecurity using techniques rooted in human behavior and technology. I would like to close with the following thoughts and maybe as a takeaways. Cybersecurity is people-powered, perennial innovation. The power of people, constantly creating new and better ways of securing our resources via technology, via methods, is a fuel. Perpetual innovation is the key to organization success. The cyber threats landscape is always changing. If organizations are not constantly evolved to stay ahead of the threats, they might not succeed. Culture starts with values. Culture of good cybersecurity practices starts with the values expressed and encouraged by the leadership. When those values become second nature, culture is achieved. Ethical leadership fosters a culture of innovation. Leadership must invest time and money if it is serious about innovation in cybersecurity. Grassroots cybersecurity efforts may spontaneously spring up, but it takes leadership to make those flourish. Thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. Kristen?
Thank you so much, Rima, for this very interesting presentation. And thank you for your commitment through organizations like Willis College for investing in the education of a diverse population, because people from all backgrounds are what is going to make cybersecurity more resilient in the future. I appreciate that you touched on questions of psychology, because underlining that, humans, they may be sometimes the weak link, but they are our strengths as well. And they are, through collaboration, the way through which we will be able to get through all these complex and difficult cybersecurity issues. As well, I like how we talked a little bit about questions of well-being and understanding that knowledge is important to protect ourselves and to educate ourselves and ultimately become more comfortable in this cybersecurity environment of ours. And thanks for the shout out to CSE and its Cyber Center. Now we will proceed to with an Ask Me Anything fireside chat with Rima. All participants can start asking their questions, and they can submit them through clicking on the raised hand icon. Donc, vous pouvez soumettre vos questions à n'importe quel moment en cliquant sur l'icône qui ressemble à une main levée. J'aimerais inviter Neil Bauer, vice-président responsable.
You can submit your questions at any time by clicking on the raise hand. And I would like now to invite Nick Bauer to be the moderator for this discussion.
PBS, NRCAN, CFIA, and PCO, as well as having held a variety of executive positions at FinTrack, HRSBC, and the Business Development Bank of Canada. Neil, thank you for accepting to moderate this discussion.
Thanks, Christine. And first of all, thanks, Rima. What a great presentation. Really, really great to listen to all of the different themes that you raised. A few key takeaways for me is that we're not going to take people out of cyber everyone is involved. I love the acronym or the phrase people-powered perpetual innovation and the idea of understanding your risks and continuously learning as those risks evolve. Absolutely fantastic. First off, I just want to reinforce what Christine said. If you exit full screen mode and click on the raised hand, your camera won't pop on, your voice won't pop on. You'll just get a little box where you can ask a question and you can submit the question. So please do that. This is an Ask Me Anything session, so please ask a question. Also, this is the human side of cybersecurity, so I invite you to pursue that in your questioning. Neither Rima or I are technical experts, so we can't help you there, although Rima did point to some great resources that are available to you. Maybe I could just start it off, Rima. You were touching on the model at Willis College being a partnership. I think you called it multi-platform. I would be interested in hearing you talk a little bit more about it. And I think you mentioned the cybersecurity analyst program, which might be of interest to people that are participating in this session. So if you could just tell us a little bit more about that program and maybe others that you think are pertinent.
Thank you, Neil, and thank you so much for inviting me today to present some of the best practices. Well, everywhere you look, everything you read talks about the shortage of the talent today. And organizations are in a desperate need to create a talent pipeline. They need to expand their businesses. And that was probably the reason why Fortinet, about 6 years ago, approached Willis. And they needed somebody agile in order for them to have access to talent shortest period at a time. But graduates had to have a skill set enough for them to send them out, and the clients will be coming back. So I was very surprised when the vice president of the Fortinet, they are actually a Fortune 500 company right now from California, approached us with the ask, and the first person they contacted was me. And as you know, and I've already shared with everybody, I am not technical. So they were talking the terminology terms that was going over my head. And I said, hold on, just tell me business side of it. What is it that you wanted to achieve? And they said, we wanted to expand, and we need to create the pipeline, talent pipeline. So I said, how are you proposing to do this? I need your technical experts, your curriculum developers, to show me what you have. Show me your capability in designing, developing, and training fastest period at a time, and so we can hire from you. When I heard the word hire, because Willis College exists only for one thing, employability of our graduates. So that was the key for me to say no problem. So I put together immediately a team from Willis College and our IT manager, subject matter experts. And that time, we were not really teaching cybersecurity analysts. We were teaching the network security and help desk specialists and so forth. But we were incorporating industry certifications. We were working with the industry to making sure, besides the diploma Willis students got out of the Willis, also had the industry certification as a proof that they were able to perform. So they arrived from everywhere, as I mentioned, and we sat down, and it was very easy. When people ask how difficult it is to create a multi-vendor cybersecurity, really you don't need a technical people. You need the human side of it. Simply sit down and talk, what is it that you like to achieve? Same thing we do. We go to employers and ask, what would you like to see our graduates have? And it was because it was in a relaxed manner. It was a sort of more very respectful manner, and a lot of jokes, and I love to joke. And Neil, I'm also the hugger. Unfortunately, COVID-19 doesn't allow me to hug anybody lately, but most people know that. I said, oh, good, I had the opportunity to get to new team, new family members. So we sat down, and they shared what they had. They did not have a Fortinet Cybersecurity Academy, and I actually shared my experience that I was the only Canadian represented Canada at the Microsoft Education Advisory Board when we actually developed the IT. It was a different name that time. It was 25 years ago. It was AATP. Then it became Microsoft IT Academy. I said, I can share with you how to do the academy. So we developed the courses. We implemented, but we cannot just deliver the courses because it has to be approved by the ministry. So, but it took us 3 months. So they thought, so it's going to take a couple of years for you to do this. I said, oh gosh, no. It says, if the ministry will cooperate with us, it will not take more than 3 months. So we did that. But what was the key and importance? How they worked with us. And that time, Jason Kenney was the minister of the human resources. And he actually visited Willis College because he wanted to learn, what did we do? How did we do this job creation model? And it was very important for them to provide us their equipment. And those were what they announced. I remember the Wall Street Journal even announced that press release, $1 million investment. What does $1 million investment mean? Nothing was in actually cash. It was in equipment. It was in support. It was in ongoing contributions and upgrading and training our instructors and making sure what we were delivering, it was properly done. They would interview prospective students ahead of time, and they would say, you have a makeup to work with Fortinet. Now go take this course, and if you pass, we will consider hiring you. And that's exactly what took place. Middle of the program, because our program is always 52 weeks, half days, team would come and give them exams and interview them and support them morally, support them technically. And they were already prepared. By the time they graduated, they were like working at Fortinet because they worked on their equipment anyway. So that model was very successful. And again, it's people. It was not technology. It's people who wanted to make this happen. I kept telling the vice president, I said, you and I wanted to make this happen, and that's why it happened. Then when the Sophos UK found out, and I remember receiving an email saying, Rima, you sitting down? I said, first of all, I had no idea what Sophos was. I said, we send you something. Can you repeat exactly what you did with Fortinet? On the top of it, we brought them in Ottawa. That means we created more job creation for Ottawa market. So I remember our Mayor Jim Watson attended official opening, and it was a very good relationship, very good model of the job creation with establishing a cybersecurity pipeline. I remember CEO of the Fortinet went to Las Vegas, and he had a 3,000 people audience. At that time, we didn't have a COVID, so people actually attend everything. And he demonstrated this little faucet and said, we created cybersecurity pipeline with this little college called Willis in Ottawa. And at that time, nobody knew where Ottawa was or who Willis was. But because the model was so successfully, because they were able to expand their business, and they were just a multi-million-dollar company and later became a billion-dollar company. I actually remember NASDAQ announced their shares went up because of partnership with Willis. I made a joke that, well, couldn't somebody tell me I could have bought the shares, but I didn't know that. And later on, it's incredible. It's all human side. It's all how you interact with people. It's all about the trust. And it's very important also to be honest. You cannot tell people, if you don't know something. You need to be honest about it. Nothing wrong saying that I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. So same thing was after repeated with the checkpoint, and that's what probably got us the level we are today. And even when I do that international speaking about it, people still wanted to know, how can we do it? It's easy to do it. Here is a model. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. So that's how it happens.
Amazing. Well, speaking of people, we do have a couple of questions related to your students. So one question is related to age. So one of the questions, I won't read it exactly, but basically says, do you take age into account? The person asking the question says they may be nearing retirement. Is this still relevant for older students? And also seeing the Women in Technology scholarships behind you, also just on gender, what are you seeing in terms of the students who are taking cybersecurity in terms of age and gender?
Well, beautiful question. Thank you for those questions. See, there's a difference between education and the skills training. Education is universities, leave it up to the community colleges, when you get a degree and takes 3-4 years. Skills training for somebody who's transitioning from a profession. So our student body are adults. We have young generation. We have from 20-year-old to the 65-year-old. But they wanted to change the career. They want to transition fastest period of time. In our classrooms, I'm amazed and actually honored who sometimes we have sitting people, they are lawyers, they are medical doctors, they have a PhDs, and I'm going, oh my God, how can we impress them? They have more education than we do. But they need this shorter period at a time to get a new updated skill sets because, as you know, cybersecurity career is lucrative today and pays very well. So when it comes to the age, really all kinds. It's adults who are trying to transition themselves from employment and get a better empowered employment and making sure that they have proper instructions and the leadership, because there is a big difference in education as well. I work with a lot of professors. I love them. I admire them, but I couldn't even understand because their level was so high. So our subject matter experts in the classroom are blessed with ability to communicate and send the message to them. And sometimes they share experiences that's not in a book, because anybody can read what's in a book. So those are the important aspects of it. So because of that, see, in one class you have a 20-year-old, you have a 35-year-old, and you have a 50-year-old. And it's very difficult to communicate with all of them because you need a very, I'm a concert pianist, so for me everything is a symphony. So you need a really good conductor to make sure the symphony is working. So there is no age difference. There is no prerequisites to what experience they have. As long when we're talking about the cybersecurity, it's important that the person is ethical, because we're talking about protecting our lives, our families, and willing to learn. A lot of work goes with that. It's not easy. I wouldn't say it's easy. Hands-on to actually hats off to all my graduates. I say, you're my hero. I have 3 degrees and you cannot make me to go in a class to learn this. When it comes to the question of the woman, see, I have 4 daughters and 4 granddaughters. It's very important for me to make sure the girls are not left behind. 30 years ago, in the other industries, women were told, you cannot be a plumber, you cannot be a drywall. So we missed out completely that sector of the development and the careers. We need more people in the cybersecurity. Reason that women are afraid to go in a cybersecurity, cyber defense, because the terminology. We're scaring people. And actually mothers telling the daughters, don't go there, just become a nurse, become a doctor, become a lawyer, but no. It's because they don't understand. And when 3 years ago, DND funded a little study to understand why women were not engaging in cyber defense, and the study was given to Kalian and a veteran-friendly transition program, which will lead this discussion. I was so surprised. Everywhere we went to, we asked, do you know what cybersecurity is? Why are you afraid of cybersecurity so much? See, women, we are nurturers. We raise the family. We protect the family. And that's what cybersecurity is. See, I explain cybersecurity career being a family-friendly career. You just need to understand why. And that time when I started the journey, only 10% of women were engaged in cyber defense. Today, we see 20% women are engaged. And I wanted to make sure that we entice, we encourage, we empower women, more women to enter. So I know one thing very well. Put your money where your mouth is. I said, other than wait, how they're going to fund this, what they're going to do. For Willis's 150 year celebration, I wanted to do something for the community. I said, what am I going to do? So I started establishing scholarships. I established scholarships for women in technology and for military spouses. Women in Technology Scholarship is, we have a board of course, scholarship board of trustees. All the entire application is on Willa's website. And once a year, scholarship will be fully paid. Fully paid scholarship will be awarded to one woman. Our scholarship recipients are so amazing. They're actually acting as role models. And on Willa's website, there is a video that we created. We had to give back to what we found, the D&D, and we created beautiful video when scholarship recipient talks about how this scholarship benefited her and what is she doing now to give it back to the community. So it's very important to have access to the education, important to have access to the funding, and it's very important to make sure that women understand they have a big role to play to protect our country and our families.
Well, thank you for that. Thanks. I'm going to go to another question here about ethics. The question is what prominence are ethics in the classes given the curriculum that you've lined out and for cybersecurity in general?
One of the best books that I read was Dr. Hazib's book called Cybersecurity Leadership. So non-technical, it's a basic language explaining people, how you become a leader. Word ethics cannot be taken out of equation. Because if you're working with cybersecurity, ethics is first thing that should be considered. 5 years ago, when we developed the cybersecurity program, I asked question, cybersecurity in education, do we know who we even training? I did not want to repeat what happened to 9/11 when they trained people how to fly just to destroy the buildings. So we started looking into that. What can we do? How do we know who's registering? So I applied to become security clearance house. And actually, Willis is the cybersecurity clearance house for only the beginning part of it, not a secret clearance, basic skills. So at least we could check the background of the people who were registering for the program. Once they are in a program that besides the technology teaching, besides teaching them technical side of it, we teach them lost business side of it, how people will be trusting their ethics, what they should do, how should they communicate, and constantly update their skills to be more knowledgeable, to be more cautious, to be kind. Believe it or not, kindness is a part of everything. You cannot get too headstrong about, well, now I know how to do this, therefore everybody has to listen to us. So we deliver a lot of seminars. We have a lot of guest speakers, and people are attending. I'm actually one of the founders of Ottawa Cybersecurity Meetup as well, and that organization, we provide monthly meetings. It's just amazing, amazing organization. And we're not making it mandatory for our students because we cannot make it mandatory, but encouraging them to attend, to network with people, and find out how they can become a positive member of the organization. Because when it comes to the employment, it's two ways. Nobody's doing a favor. They need somebody to work, you need a job. But it has to be some type of respect. It has to be understanding, and it has to be making sure that people understand do's and don'ts. We also deliver comprehensive career preparation courses, and students are learning besides how to write a resume, how to answer the technical questions, how to work with people, what to look for, what's not. Because sometimes organization will hire you even though you don't have a great technical skill, but you have a awesome human skills, and you are learnable. And if you demonstrate that you are learnable, they'll create a position for you. So it's very important that you combine technical skills with human skills, with the business skills, and employability skills together.
Wow, that's fantastic. And it is so true that the demand for cybersecurity professionals is just huge in government and across the the Western world. So we have a question here about we are talking about cybersecurity professionals, but of course you've also made the point that everyone needs to think about cybersecurity. It needs to be broad. I'd like to ask you about what are the basic skills that you think everyone should have in the 21st century? What are the things that, whether or not you're in the cybersecurity profession or in a technical role, what are the basic skills that everybody should have?
It's funny that I've been asked this question before too, when I was presenting in Singapore, and I had my subject matter expert. Right? I said, it's too technical. I said, I'm not going to repeat this. It's lucky I have this with me, so I can actually answer what our subject matters have responded to this. I have heard cybersecurity experts say, if we can just get people to stop clicking on stuff, it would be a lot more secure around here. I actually asked, what's a clicking? Well, now you clicking everything. You have a social media, you click. You open the message, you click. So that became a clicking. But seriously, there are a number of basic skills people can embrace to become more cyber secure. Become a continuous learner regarding cybersecurity. Research what the current cybersecurity threats are so that you are aware of what to avoid. The ignorance is the biggest problem. You need to understand what it is in order to come up with a solution. Ask cybersecurity experts what you should do. Don't be shy. You can Google search on cybersecurity threats and best practices to learn more. I find that the biggest challenge with people, we are so embarrassed to admit we don't know. When somebody tells us something we just not, but we really did not understand. So we cannot take a chances in cybersecurity. You cannot be shy or thinking, if I say I don't know, how they're going to think about me? Ask. Stop clicking on things. Avoid clicking on the links in a website that are not absolutely familiar to you. And check emails to make sure they are absolutely trustworthy before clicking an attachment. And those things are so true, but so difficult today because hackers make it very trustworthy, or they're very ethical, very doable to do it. Do not do anything on public networks that might reveal personal information. Don't do banking and etc. Using the free Wi-Fi that is available. You can install a VPN on your mobile phone, which will make a free Wi-Fi secure if you have to use it. Use strong complex passwords and use different passwords for each of your different security situations. Your banking password and your login password and your home internet password should all be different. And be very careful what personal information you reveal on the social media. Identity threats can happen from somebody gathering up enough personal information about you from social media to fake your digital identity.
Those are fantastic. I have to stop clicking on things, I guess, online. So there's also a question here about prevention. So the question is, we learned in the last 2 days that prevention is the best strategy, and a lot of these basic skills that you've mentioned hearken on that. The question is, the questioner wants to know, is there any cure for people affected with cyber fraud? And how do we integrate this into cyber learning programs? Is it clear?
Yes. This is actually a very good question, excellent question. I remember one of our subject matter expert, Rob Wilson, was giving a seminar to Singapore talking about it. And I was actually asking some of the questions myself as well. And I said, if somebody asks me those questions, how would I, who are not technical, be able to explain to them? And that's why we're now offering free webinars. We're offering, if anybody would like to have Rob present them or demonstrate some of the very critical and the technical questions, we are more than happy to do so. And in a classroom, instructors talk very much about it as well. See, besides the regular curricula that comes from the certification board, it's very important that the instructors are able to share some of the human levels of it, and for not only to share, but for them to understand what it is. So again, if anybody is interested, what I'm going to do, and I'm sending you the presentation of the event, and if you would share this with the viewers, they will see more answers more technical answers about it.
Fantastic. And we can include the link to the Prezi in the thank you email for the registration to this event. So we'll definitely do that. By the way, a few of the questions that have come in are sending virtual hugs to you, by the way. But here's a question. It says, thank you for the presentation. Given the current situation we are living due to the pandemic and the constantly changing landscape of cybersecurity, does Willis College or others offer cybersecurity programs online going forward? So not maybe a full-time chunk, but an online small course that people can take to upgrade their skills.
Absolutely crucial and a very important question. You know, global disaster is the mother of invention. When COVID-19 hit, it was March. We were affected like everybody else, and we were caught off guard that what are we going to do? But luckily that time, students were on a March break. That time, only 10% of our cybersecurity analyst curricula was online because we were planning to do this, but we were taking our time. Because we have access to the cybersecurity experts, dedicated curricula developers, and committed people who did not get the watch break. They worked day and night. We managed to put entire program online. And by the time students came back 2 weeks ago, they did not miss the one day. So even now, our CSA program is online, and the Willis Online College actually provides this program throughout Canada-wide. What is very important when we're talking the human side of the COVID-19 is how leaders handle the situation, because we were all scared. We are people. We have families. And we were worried what we're going to do, what's the future, what's the point of the continuing working if we are going to go. So I must give a kudos to my partner, Henry Devlin. What he did is introduce Zoom. And at that time, I had no idea what Zoom was. I said, Zoom? Is it going to be dancing? What are we going to do? And through the Zoom, we had to all learn how to use it. We conducted weekly meetings with our staff and going in a classroom with the students, just giving them updates, what's going on, asking them how they were doing, reminding them that, we are all in together. Together, we can handle this. The comments I got back was really touching. It was not technology. It was not Zoom. It was the kindness. That time, people needed kindness. People needed to come together. People needed that virtual hugs. And people just needed to know somebody cares. So that helped our students tremendously. The satisfaction of our students going in online learning, but our online learning is fully instructed. There is a benefit of online learning because it's recorded as well. And when you're at home, if you had your baby was crying or something was wrong and you could not attend the lecture, you could record it and repeat it after. So it actually became a blessing in the sky. That's why if you use the disaster as creating something new. How probably the world survived COVID-19 is not something that it's happening now. It's happening throughout our history, human history. It's just how you're going to react and what you're going to do. We created learning management systems. We created, which I had no idea, but now I know what a Moodle is. I thought it was some kind of food. We created Moodles, and we create the access to the for students to access that entire learning. So yes, everybody right now that nobody's in school. Everybody's doing online, and it's provided right now in Ontario because Ministry of Ontario did not really support online education, but other provinces do. Like in Manitoba, they actually approved. And when I say not approving private career colleges, I'm not talking to the public education. So through the Manitoba Ministry of Education, we now able to develop the CSA once it's approved and once it's on go throughout the country.
Fantastic. Well, one question did roll in, whether the programs are available en français. Are there French language programs for francophones by Willis College or others?
Well, it all depends on the instructor as well, because as you know, in technology, everything is the basic terminology is in English anyway, right? So we're working with the KPMG because when we got the contract for the Canadian Armed Forces, we offering bilingual to the military, but in classrooms right now it's in English. It all depends if the request will come. If we get a major contract, it has to be. That's not going to be a problem. But currently, for a regular public, it's in English.
Thank you. Excellent. Well, Rima, an amazing presentation and great questions that have rolled in. I couldn't ask them all, so I'm sorry to those of you that posed questions that we couldn't get to. But thank you so much for that dialogue. Rima, are there any thoughts you'd just like to leave with us in closing? Any remarks you'd like to say before we end the session?
First of all, I wanted to congratulate you. I have been attending a lot of international events, and I was very impressed, one of them with the Singapore and the Philippines. But your lobby, virtual lobby, is amazing. Amount of work you guys have done to provide this event is really heartfelt. It's beautiful. We need to continue events like this. Events like this, only way we can make a change when people come together. It's not this event. Yes, we know about it, but we all go to our homes and get back to our daily lives, so we forget the importance of it. But that is, events like this brings us together. So not everything was bad with the COVID. That forced us to do the connections and networking and understanding and learning. We need to continue learning. Learning is the key. And you are in the heart of the, in a schooling system where you do this very well with the digital academy. So, and collaborate together. I love to collaborate with you. I love to see that, because my biggest hope, I want to see Canada on the top cybersecurity hub list. I was very heartbroken when I didn't see Canada name. But together we can do it. I also wanted to thank each and every one of you, all your viewers, and wish you a very happy Thanksgiving weekend. It's going to be different, but just embrace it and enjoy it. I wish you safe and healthy life.
Thank you, Rima. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for participating today, and thank you for your candor and all of your remarks. Notwithstanding what you said, I think I consider you an expert now in the area of cybersecurity. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Neil.
So now this brings us to the end of our two-day conference. And so it falls to me, Christine, maybe to give some closing remarks for the session. So I will, I guess I'll do that. So first of all, I have to agree with those of you that said this was a really, really stimulating 2 days. So thank you, everyone, for joining. A few key messages for me. One is that cybersecurity is everybody's business. We're not taking people out of cybersecurity. In fact, people are central to cybersecurity, people working together, people learning and collaborating. And as Sarah Paquette said just now, it's not about technology, it's about us. It's about you and me. And we all have a role to play. Sadly, though, there is a report I saw in 2019 from McAfee that basically found that there's a do as I say, not as I do attitude sometimes when it comes to cybersecurity. And they point to 61% of respondents saying that executives expect more lenient security policies for themselves. 65% of those respondents believe that this leniency results in more incidents. Gartner, in its 2020 study, found that most board members and senior executives were not well versed in cybersecurity themselves. They did not necessarily understand the impact on their business. Meanwhile, many security leaders approach security as a technical challenge dictated by technology and regulation. So that's most board members not being well versed in cybersecurity. And so obviously everyone needs to do their part. And we've heard constantly around the last 2 days, right from the opening remarks until now, that technology and people have to meet in the middle, and that we have to be smart about both our behaviors and about our technology. And certainly cybersecurity is a team sport. We heard that over and over. With COVID-19, that has brought new cybersecurity challenges. It is shown us the complexity of the organization. In fact, this year, the Canadian Internet Registration Authority found that 3 in 10 organizations have seen a spike in the volume of attacks during the pandemic. So we certainly heard that from many of our speakers over the last 2 days, and that cybersecurity talent and the lack thereof and a skills shortage was one of the constraints faced by organization, and that cybersecurity expertise has never been more needed than now. This past July, Canadian Security shared key findings from their survey from COVID-19, and basically they note that COVID-19 has increased the attack landscape. 91% of cybersecurity professionals said attack volumes have gone up as employees work from home, and 92% said their organizations have had experienced cyber attacks linked to COVID-19 malware itself, and 89% have said that Internet of Things exposure has also increased. So now we're in the second wave of the pandemic. We need to be even more vigilant for that reason. So where do we go from here? 5 points in closing. Number 1, education and training are key to bolster our cybersecurity awareness. And we heard this over and over, that training for all employees, including senior management, is key to protecting organizations like the government from cyber threats. And this will only increase with remote work and during the pandemic. Second, we need improved security for trusted third parties. Companies that are providing network access and contractors and trusted parties need to be put in place to increase measures to protect us from outside attacks, certainly in this time of cloud migration. Third, improve service delivery. We need to be able to, given that things are done remotely, we need to be able to respond with remote services during a crisis and orient our service delivery and our cyber capability to operate in a remote environment. Next, replatforming. We need better alignment of services with current needs of citizens, resulting in moving applications to new platforms such as the cloud. And then finally, as we go into the world of artificial intelligence and data analytics, this will create new security responsibilities. And so we need to think about the threats and risks as they evolve, as Rima noted. So it's up to all of us to work together in this team sport of cybersecurity. And I do want to thank and acknowledge some of the partners that we've been working with to bring you this event. Shared Services Canada, the Treasury Board Secretariat, Ottawa University, including the Professional Development Institute, the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity, and the Communications Security Establishment, and many other partners as well that have brought you the event. So thanks to all of our partners. I would also like to advertise an event that we have coming on October 20th. We have a new economy series, which will feature a learning on cybersecurity. We have Rafal Rohozinski, who will be joining us for that discussion, along with Mathili Mavinkirv, a co-founder of SiteLight Innovation. This will also be a fascinating discussion on cybersecurity, its impacts on the new economy, and trade-offs that policymakers need to make in the coming years. So I invite you to tune in to the Canada School of Public Service on October 20th for that. Of course, it is Cybersecurity Month, so happy Cybersecurity Month. It's been advertised already, but I encourage everyone to go to www.getcybersafe.gc.ca. And there you can find some interesting resources and links around cybersecurity. Please also check out the courses offered by the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity. You can see that in the virtual kiosks that are associated with this event. And we will certainly be sharing links with you after this event to some of the resources that have been mentioned. And so check your inbox for that in the coming days. And thank you all for giving your time over the last 2 days to this event. And I want to thank everyone who is involved as presenters and supporting this event. And Christine, I want to thank you as well as I turn it back to you. Thank you for being an able moderator. So have a great long weekend, everyone.
Thank you, Neil, so much for those closing remarks. And thank you, and Rima, for that wonderful conversation just now. Thank you for making the topic of cybersecurity accessible to everyone through your practical tips and your relatable experience. I'm sure everyone appreciated it very much. And so this concludes today's session. I want to thank Sarah, Rima, Neil, the CSPS, and, well, all of you for having been with us, from across the country during these 2 days on this important topic. We look forward to your feedback. You will be receiving an email in the next couple of days on this event, so please give us some feedback on how you enjoyed your experience. The school has a lot more to offer, as Neil mentioned, so please visit their website, visit the Cyber Center's website as well for more courses that you may be attending. And please check out our virtual lobby and the Bee Expo on your way out. On this, I wish you a great day, a wonderful weekend, and a great Thanksgiving.